Morning, all you happy people. Going to do a twofer today. It is January 5th, 2026. Okay, so for 2026, we got a whole bunch of, potential things here. I mean, we can become the country we were supposed to be or used to be. We can go down in a fiery ball of nothing with Nero fiddling on top of the hill as we burn. But for a large portion of, well, I assume it's a large portion, for some of Americans, we believe the Bible is not a collection of fairy tales meant to scare us straight, scare us, keep us away from the woods, or whatever the old school fairy tales were meant to do. Don't talk to strangers, don't take apples from strangers, and blah, 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 whatever the fairy tale was supposed to mean at one time. Because, you know, the Grimm's fairy tales were very, um, for lack of a better word, grim. And Golden Books and Disney and the softer hearted people decided that, the wicked stepmother getting, her eyes cut out and forced to wear uh, shoes that were, put over an open fire and were red hot and things like that from the original Cinderella was not conducive to, a more progressive mindset. We didn't need to horrify the world like that bunch of um, fairy tales did. So we, for lack of a better word, we Disneyified them. It was, and unfortunately, we've got churches nowadays who are on the exact same page as the censors or whatever you want to call them or whatever they used to be. A lot of this stuff predates me. That hell, demons, eternal torment, suffering, and all of that stuff that's meant to give you the knowledge of what happens if you don't follow God. There is repercussions. And No, now we have the Disneyfied churches like Osteen. We've got um, we've got an entire segment of religion, the Methodist faith, that is almost completely fallen in this country, and they are not teaching doctrine. They are not following doctrine. And I use doctrine in a general sort. They're not following the rules laid down by the Mosaic Law as well as the teachings of Jesus Christ. In hopes of placating a more squishy society. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, how many of you have a debit card? How many of you got people right now have a debit card in your wallet or purse, but not a single bill of cash? A green dollar, a greenback in your wallet or purse. And I'm going to raise my hand right now. I do not have any money in my wallet other than cards. And this is a big thing for me to even admit this, because I used to never run around with anything less than $20 in my pocket at all times. But, you know, ended up having to spend that dollar, never put a new 20 in the pocket, and, just went the way of the dodo at the moment. So it will get changed eventually. But and why is that? Well, it used to be you always wanted to have at least a couple of dollars in your pocket, because if you had a road accident or something like that you needed to do, and wherever it was, wouldn't take credit card or stuff like that. There was actually a time when credit card was not a thing, not universal. Hell, nowadays, you go to a flea market and they pull out a square so they can take debit or credit cards. The ease of getting, a square and linking it to your credit card has made the need to have cash on hand almost obsolete. And this is by design, people. This is very much by design. And what I'm talking about today is Mark of the Beast kind of stuff from Revelations. And I've done a lot of videos about this, but I want y'all to see, get your wheels running, how this is moving us towards this. Everything is actually already in place to do it. Surveillance and everything else like that is already there. It's all waiting for just the trigger to get pulled. And what pulls the trigger? The appearance of the Antichrist. So, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and here's where I'm going to tell you, and you're all going to be like, wow, that's like, putting a frog in a pot of cold water and turning the fire up. It's that slow. They're playing the very, very, very long game. And you got to remember, guys, it may seem like the long game for us, but in the spiritual realm, the realm that God and angels and demons actually exist in, time moves different there. I'm a sole believer in we get so impatient that, things don't happen when we want them to happen, but, all in God's time, not mine. But here's the deal, guys. They are, there's a reason why there's a stairway to heaven and a highway to hell. And that's a very, modern way of seeing it, but it's biblical. Jesus even said, it's easier for, a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. And the path is narrow. The path is extremely narrow. It's razor thin narrow, guys. And yet, the path to hell is almost, is almost paved in gold. It's so tempting and stuff like that to do it. But here's the deal, and we're using that highway to hell to do this because it's through convenience, guys. Right now, me, myself, and I, with not a single red dollar in my wallet, if I was out in my car running errands and I was to say, piss off the wrong person by cutting them off, that person, and this is all purely hypothetical, and it's probably coming in the future, piss off the wrong person, they make a statement against me on social media of some kind, identifying me, and that's doxing. Happens all the time nowadays. I get doxed on the internet for having cut off a person. Boom, an algorithm hits, and I am notified by a bot, an AI of some kind, that I have, now committed a crime, an illegal, let's say, illegal lane change, working in the penal system, kind of similar to what happened with, the whole red light cameras and stuff like that. But now we're doing it through social media. They have a video of me from a person's phone or their dash cam or something that I cut this person off. Now I've been doxxed, and now I get a punishment. Well, I'm going to get fined blank amount of money for that, and this works through the penal system. Guess what? They're not going to give me a choice in the matter. They've already, everything is already digital. I have a credit card and I have a debit card, and all that shit is linked through my phone. We hope it's secure. Hell, we got people nowadays that, we got whole companies built around keeping your identity secure online against fraudsters. Well, we don't even need fraudsters anymore. The government's going to do it in the guise of the penal system. Yes. So, okay. I get fined a certain amount. Let's say, tell you this. Let's say I ain't got that kind of money in my bank right now. Paid all my bills, and I got enough money to get me to work back and forth for the week before I get paid again. Boom! They clear out my my account. I get hit with by the bank with a overdrawing my account, because the bank then dings me again for that overdraw. Guess what? Now the algorithm says, well, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Uh, you're now gonna owe back fines as soon as you put money in the bank. It's gonna immediately be withdrawn. And now, because we know, you work here, you work there, you live at certain address and stuff like that. You've got cameras all over your house. You've got a smart house. You don't have a key to your home anymore. You have a code to get in your house. You don't have regular TV anymore. Everything's satellite or cable or whatever. You don't have a landline phone anymore. You have your cell phone. All of that stuff is actually got a back door in it. And guys, I told you guys, I've told it on many videos. In 1985, the burgeonings of computer technology and stuff like that, Congress submitted and approved and made a law that no company creating a program for a computer can make it completely secure against the government. Meaning, if I was to make a security program for the populace of America, I have to, according to this law, create a back door for the government to get into it. It has to be done because if I want to go through and launch that program, it all has to go through the algorithms of the federal government and this, that, and the other, and the watchdogs. CIA, FBI, all that good junk. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. How hard would it be for the Fed right now to just wake up one morning and now we no longer use the American dollar? We use FedCoin. How hard would that be? Not very hard at all, because all it basically would require is a change of name. Banks would actually take all of their cash on hand and send it to the Fed. No more cash. Oh, but Houston Big Daddy. Oh man, I can withdraw my Bitcoin and stuff like that at those Bitcoin ATMs. Yeah, you can. You know how that's going to get fixed? You're going to have to, when you go to download or to withdraw from your Bitcoin ATM, it's going to give you a gift card. There will be nothing physical or tangible for you to withdraw your Bitcoin into. There's nothing physical in your hand anymore other than your phone and your credit cards. And I don't know how, I'm 54 years old, guys. I have had my credit cards rejected because they're overdrawn. I have had my debit cards rejected for being overdrawn. Yeah, I was pretty dumb when I was young. Good thing I married a woman who knew money. But guys, yes, I do believe that the mark of the beast is on the hand or the head. But that is the last possible step. The mark on your hand or your head allows you to buy goods and services. The digital currency polices that. Your card will not activate unless you have the mark on the hand or the head. And because of our need for convenience, guys, we're just giving it all to them. Apple is even, marketing it. Oh, no. Whenever the government thought about doing a digital ID, we were all like, oh, that's the mark of the beast. That's the mark of the beast. We can't do that. That's the mark of the beast. And then a year later, Apple's now creating a digital ID so you can get on airplanes faster. You can take that ID, upload your information from your DPS driver's license and your passport or your passport. All of that is TSA approved, complete identification, and then you can get on the planes faster. And we thought it was just so that you'd be safe from a shoe bomber on your planes. No. Now they can track you on it. They know when you buy a plane ticket, you know where you're going to go and stuff like that, and they can track you on your phone. How many of you people with Apple phones use that Apple Track app to, track your friends or family or find out where they're at in school and stuff like that, or, wherever? My daughter and her boyfriend, when he's on the 3-hour drive to her house, she's tracking him the whole way on her Apple phone. And vice versa. When she is heading to, his house, he's tracking her. And that's just not the only time they do it. He's a marathon runner, so my daughter tracks him on his marathon runs. Guys, knowing where you're at. It's knowing what you're doing. Self-surveillance for convenience. It's the mark of the beast, guys. Yes, the mark of the beast will be on your hand or your head. But the cards and the digital is the enforcement arm. Everybody wonders, how can they do that? How can they deny you goods and services without taking the mark of the beast? That's how they do it, guys. All of a sudden, they say you got to get a tattoo somewhere. Or a chip. Or something like that on your hand or your head. Or your phone won't work. Or your money won't work. That's why we need to not get rid of the dollar. That's the dollar is the only thing slowing this down, guys. It's because they can't enforce the dollar. And that's been the way of the dollar ever since it was inception, guys. They can't control what you buy with a dollar. It's untraceable. And you want to think about traceable, guys? How many of you go to the store and buy something with your debit card? Immediately, you walk out to your car and you got 6 different emails of ads for a similar product to what you just purchased. Guys, I use this analogy all the time. I went to AutoZone one day and bought a quart of oil for one of my vehicles. And I didn't even get to my vehicle, and I'd already got 3 emails for Pennzoil with advertisements. Guys, That's how fast it happens. Let's go, Brandon.